Picture this: a man who has spent 30 years mastering blackjack, a man who has sat at more tables than most people have had hot meals, walks into the Bellagio on a Tuesday afternoon, looks around at the near-empty casino floor, takes one glance at the table minimum sign, and walks straight back out. Doesn't play a single hand. Just leaves. That man is not alone. Across Las Vegas right now, the people who built this city's gambling economy, the skilled players, the loyal regulars, the weekend warriors who came back year after year, are quietly, permanently walking away. Hi, my name is Michael, and this is Old Vegas Legends, the man behind the truth. Let's call him Ray. That's not his real name, and if you've spent any time in serious gambling circles, you understand why he prefers it that way. Ray is 61 years old. He started playing blackjack seriously in 1987, back when the frontier still had dollar tables and the Stardust felt like the center of the universe. Over the following 3 decades, Ray estimates he has logged somewhere north of 15,000 hours at blackjack tables across Las Vegas. He's not a card counter in the Hollywood sense, the guy with the earpiece and the model girlfriend running signals from across the pit. He's something more disciplined than that. He's a student of the game, a man who understands expected value, deck penetration, table rules, and house edge down to the 4th decimal point. He knows when a game is beatable and when it isn't. And right now, according to Ray, almost nothing on the Las Vegas Strip is worth sitting down at. Not anymore. Ray isn't some fringe voice either. His opinion is echoed by thousands of serious gamblers across forums, subreddits, and gambling communities online. People who track rule changes obsessively. People who drove from Phoenix or flew from Chicago 4 times a year for 20 years and have now, quietly, stopped booking those trips. These aren't casual tourists who stumbled into Vegas once and got a bad meal. These are the backbone of the casino economy, the repeat customers, the ones the house counted on to keep showing up, and they're gone. So what happened? What finally broke the loyalty of people who genuinely loved this game? The answer isn't one thing. It's a slow accumulation of insults, a death by 1,000 cuts, and Ray, to his credit, is willing to name every single one of them. The rigged game. Nobody's talking about. Here's the dirty secret that every serious blackjack player knows, and that every casino hopes you never figure out. The game you're playing today is not the same game your father played in 1990. It looks the same, it smells the same, the felt is green, and the dealer is smiling, and the cards look identical. But underneath all of that, the math has been quietly, systematically, and deliberately shifted against you, and the weapon they use to do it has a deceptively simple name: 6 to 5 blackjack. Let me explain this in plain terms because this is important. In traditional blackjack, when you are dealt a natural blackjack, an ace, and a 10 value card on the first 2 cards, you get paid 3 to 2, meaning if you bet $10, you win 15. That's the deal. That's been the deal since blackjack was invented. Now, casinos across the Strip have quietly replaced that payout with 6 to 5, meaning your $10 blackjack now pays you $12 instead of $15, $3. Doesn't sound like much, does it? Here's what it actually means. That single rule change increases the house edge by approximately 1.39%. To put that in perspective, basic strategy blackjack played correctly at a 3 to 2 table carries a house edge of roughly 0.5%. That means the casino expects to keep about 50 cents of every $100 wagered over time. At 6 to 5, that edge jumps to nearly 1.9%. You are now losing almost 4 times as much money per hand as you should be. Ray told us, and I'm going to quote him directly here, 6 to 5 blackjack isn't a game variation. It's a mugging. They just dressed it up in a tuxedo. According to Vegas Advantage's 2025 survey, finding a 3 to 2 blackjack game on the Central Strip now typically means a $25 to $50 minimum, even during off-peak hours. During busy periods, those minimums jump to $100. Want 3 to 2 blackjack for $10? You're looking at Casino Royale or Circus Circus. And even then you need to check the sign carefully because 6 to 5 has crept into those properties too. The $5 blackjack table. The table where a working man from Cleveland could sit for 3 hours on a Friday night and not go broke before dinner. That table is essentially extinct on the Las Vegas Strip. And here's the thing that really gets under Ray's skin. When you ask casino executives about this, they don't apologize. They don't even blink. The logic they use internally is that most players don't know the difference between 3 to 2 and 6 to 5. And they're right. Most casual tourists have absolutely no idea they're being robbed. But the serious players do. The repeat customers do. The people who came back year after year do. And one by one, they stopped coming back. The slot machine con. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, Michael, I don't play blackjack. I play the slots. This doesn't apply to me. I need you to sit with me for a moment here because it absolutely applies to you. In fact, it might apply to you even more aggressively than anything happening at the table games. The Nevada Gaming Control Board publishes data every year on slot machine, hold percentages. This is the percentage of all money wagered that the machines keep. In 2024, the Las Vegas Strip held 8.23% from slot machines. Downtown Las Vegas held an even more alarming 8.47%. And penny slots, the most popular machines on any casino floor. The machines surrounded by retirees and weekend visitors with plastic cups full of coins. Penny slots held nearly 10% of all money wagered. Some downtown properties held 11% from penny slots. Ray shook his head when we brought this up. He said, "Slots have always been a tax on people who don't understand probability. But at least in the old days, the casinos had the decency to make them somewhat entertaining. Now they just take your money faster and dress it up with more lights." Here's the comparison that should make your blood boil. In Reno, no denomination of slot machine held more than 6.16% in 2024. 6.16. Compare that to nearly 11% on some downtown Las Vegas penny machines, and you start to understand the scale of what's happening. Vegas isn't even pretending to compete anymore. They've got a captive audience on the Strip, walking between properties that all offer essentially the same tight machines. Why would they loosen them up? Here's the cruel irony that casino operators apparently missed in their quarterly earnings meetings. A 2015 industry report from Applied Analysis, the same firm that tracks Southern Nevada's economic data, explicitly warned that tightening slot holds hurts revenue because players lose faster and leave sooner. They don't play longer because the machine is tight. They just leave, with less money, and a bad taste in their mouth. The casinos read that report, nodded thoughtfully, and then tightened the slots anyway. You genuinely cannot make this up. The death of the comp. Let me take you back to something Ray said early in our conversation that stopped me cold. He said, "The casino used to know my name. Now it doesn't even know I exist." Think about what that means coming from a man who spent 30 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars on Las Vegas casino floors. The comp system, the complimentary drinks, meals, rooms, and show tickets that casinos offered loyal players was never charity. Everybody understood that. The casino gave you a free steak dinner because they knew you'd sit back down at that blackjack table afterward. It was a transaction dressed up as hospitality, but it was a transaction that worked for both sides. You felt valued. You came back. The house kept winning in the long run. Everybody went home reasonably happy. That system is now essentially dead for anyone outside the top tier of players. Let's talk about what Caesars did, because this one is personal for a lot of long-time Vegas visitors. During the pandemic, Caesars closed its diamond lounges across its Las Vegas properties. These were spaces where mid to high-tier players could relax between sessions, grab complimentary food and drinks, and feel like the casino actually appreciated their business. When everything reopened, those lounges didn't come back. The Paris Las Vegas location, the one that players had enjoyed for years, is now a Lisa Vanderpump bar. You pay. You sit where your complimentary lounge used to be, and you pay. The casino took away a benefit you earned through your gambling and replaced it with another revenue extraction point. That's not hospitality. That's a mugging with better lighting. And I'll be honest with you, even I felt that one. MGM rolled out changes to its rewards program in 2024 and 2025, adding some partnerships and resort fee waivers for higher tier members. But here's the catch. To reach gold tier status with MGM rewards requires approximately 75,000 tier credits in a calendar year. That's roughly $37,500 in slot play, or $75,000 in table game buy-ins, depending on how it's calculated. The average recreational player going to Vegas 2 or 3 times a year will never, ever see those numbers. So, the benefit exists. It's just designed for people who don't need it. Ray summed it up perfectly. He said, "They used to give a free room to the guy betting $25 a hand because they wanted him back next month. Now they won't give him a free bottle of water. And then they wonder why he's not coming back. The resort fee. Extortion racket." All right, I need to talk about resort fees because I genuinely lose sleep over this one. Not literally, but close. This is the issue that, more than any other single thing, has turned Las Vegas from a value destination into a place where people feel ambushed the moment they check in. Here's the history lesson nobody asked for, but everybody needs. Resort fees barely existed on the Las Vegas Strip in the early 2000s. They started creeping in around 2009, conveniently during the recession, when casinos needed to pad revenue without raising advertised room rates. They were small at first, $8, $12, annoying but ignorable. Then they grew and grew and grew some more. MGM Resorts raised resort fees twice in 2024. Twice. In the same calendar year, premium strip properties now charge between $45 and $52 per night in resort fees on top of your room rate. On top of that, you're paying a 13.38% room tax. In September 2024, Casino.org reported that MGM quietly added a $15 per night contact center fee for phone bookings. Add $6 in taxes to that, and you're paying $21 additional just for the crime of picking up the phone instead of booking online. Let's do the actual math here, because this is where it gets genuinely stomach-turning. The average Las Vegas visitor spent $1,322 per trip in 2024, according to Applied Analysis. That's 53% higher than what visitors spent in 2019. 53%. Now here's the part that should haunt every casino executive who signed off on this strategy. That extra spending is not going to gaming. It's going to room fees, resort fees, parking charges, and overpriced food. Gambling spending actually decreased, so you're paying 53% more per trip to Vegas, but gambling less. The house is winning before you ever touch a chip. One Reddit user put it in terms that I cannot improve upon. They wrote, "I used to budget $300 for gambling and $50 for food. Now, I budget $300 for fees and $50 for gambling. I'm still spending the same money. I'm just having less fun." That single comment, right there, explains the entire crisis in Las Vegas tourism. The city didn't lose visitors because people stopped wanting to have fun. It lost visitors because having fun got reclassified as a luxury item. The online gambling exodus. Here's where the story takes a turn that casino executives in Las Vegas are desperately hoping you don't think too hard about. Because while they've been busy raising resort fees, tightening slot machines, and eliminating comps, a competitor has been quietly eating their lunch. And that competitor lives in your pocket. The United States online gambling market hit $12.68 billion in 2024. $12.68 billion. That number was essentially zero 15 years ago. It is now a legitimate, massive, rapidly growing industry that offers the same games you'd find on the Las Vegas Strip, without the airfare, without the hotel fees, without the $44 cocktail at the bar. One gambling industry expert, speaking to a panel on casino trends, put it plainly. Young people have 40 options to gamble on their phones from the comfort of their own home. 40 options. Before they've even gotten dressed in the morning. Now, Ray is not a fan of online gambling. He told us that with characteristic bluntness. He said, "Playing blackjack on an app is like watching a cooking show instead of eating dinner. It's not the same thing." And he's right. There's something about the physical experience of Las Vegas, the sounds, the atmosphere, the ritual of sitting down at a real felt table that no app can replicate. But here's the problem. Younger gamblers don't have the reference point Ray has. They've never sat at a $5 blackjack table at the Dunes. They've never gotten a free shrimp cocktail at the Golden Gate. They have no nostalgia for an experience they never had. And when they look at the cost of a Las Vegas trip in 2025 versus tapping an app on the couch, the math isn't even close. The casino's response to this existential threat has been to double down on squeezing the customers they still have, rather than innovating to attract new ones. Instead of asking how do we make the in-person experience so valuable that it's worth getting on a plane, they asked how do we extract more revenue per visitor from the visitors we're already getting. It is the single most catastrophic strategic miscalculation in the history of American hospitality, and the 2025 visitor numbers are the invoice arriving for that decision. What Vegas used to be. I need to stop here for a moment, because this next part isn't about data or strategy or corporate earnings calls. This part is about something that data struggles to measure. It's about what we actually lost. Do you remember when the Stardust had a $3.99 steak special? When the Frontier had dollar blackjack tables that ran until 4 in the morning? When the Horseshoe downtown would take any size bet? Any size. Because Benny Binion believed every man deserved a fair shot at a big score. When you could wander into a casino at 2 in the morning with $40 in your pocket and genuinely not know what the night was going to bring. Ray got quiet when we asked him about this. Not sad quiet, thoughtful quiet. He said, Vegas used to have a compact with regular people, an unspoken agreement. We know you're going to lose money here. That's the nature of gambling. But in exchange, we're going to feed you well, give you a clean, comfortable room, pour your drinks, give you good odds, and make you feel like a king for the weekend. That was the deal. He paused. Then he said, they tore up that deal, and they didn't even tell us they were doing it. We just showed up one day, and it was gone. He's right. The deal is gone. The Mirage Volcano, which had been making people stop dead in their tracks on the sidewalk since 1989, was demolished in August 2024 to make way for a guitar-shaped tower. Treasure Island's pirate shows entertained millions for 2 decades before being permanently shut down. The buffets, the ultimate Vegas equalizer, where a construction worker from Ohio could load up a plate alongside a hedge fund manager from Manhattan, are nearly extinct. As of early 2025, only 8 all-you-can-eat buffets remain on the entire strip, down from dozens just years ago. The ones that survive charge double or triple what they used to, with half the quality. What we lost isn't just cheap food and free shows. What we lost is the feeling that Vegas was for us, that the city understood us, that the house was going to win in the long run, but it was still going to treat us right in the short run. That feeling is gone, and it turns out that feeling was worth more than any executive in any boardroom ever understood. The numbers don't lie now. Let's look at what all of this has actually produced. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just let the numbers speak. In June 2025, Las Vegas received 3.1 million visitors. That sounds like a lot until you compare it to June 2024's 3.49 million. That's a drop of 11.3%. Nearly 400,000 fewer people. In the first half of 2025, visitation dropped 7.3% compared to 2024, with over 1.1 million fewer visitors walking the Strip. Harry Reid International Airport reported passenger counts down 6.3% in June alone. Strip hotel occupancy dropped to 85.3% in May 2025 from 88.5% the previous year. Weekend occupancy fell from 93.4% to 89.9%. Here's the number that should be framed and hung on the wall of every casino boardroom in Las Vegas. Strip casino net income crashed 40.4% in 2024, despite revenue increasing 6.2%. Read that again. They made more money but kept 40% less of it. Revenue up, profit down, customers disappearing. That is not a business model. That is a controlled demolition. Nevada Gaming Control Board reported Strip gaming revenue fell 3.9% in May 2025 compared to May 2024. That marked 4 consecutive months of decline. June was worse, with downtown Las Vegas seeing an 11.3% revenue drop. And yet, listen to what Caesars Entertainment CEO Tom Reeg said in an earnings call as the numbers were falling off a cliff. Quote, "You're kicking out the lowest end. I see no reason that needs to stop or would stop." The CEO of one of the largest casino companies in the world, openly, on a recorded call, admitting they are deliberately eliminating a segment of their customer base, not reluctantly, not apologetically, enthusiastically. as if driving away millions of loyal customers is a strategy and not a catastrophe. A comment posted on X in April 2025 went viral with over 15,000 likes. The user wrote, "The value proposition of Vegas has completely collapsed. Overpriced, everything is worn down. Not fun. Younger people don't gamble. Not much else to do. There was a time when you could get great value and have a great time. Now you're just feeling ripped off." That comment from a random person on the internet made it into an official report to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. The Tourism Authority had to formally acknowledge that their own customers were publicly declaring that Las Vegas no longer provides value. I want you to sit with the absurdity of that for just a moment. Casino consultant Oliver Lovat told NPR in August 2025, with the kind of bluntness that only consultants getting paid by the hour can afford, "If you're looking for a bargain, because of the way that Las Vegas has changed, it's no longer a bargain destination." A travel agent, speaking to an industry publication, was even more direct. She said, "When you can go to an all-inclusive in Mexico cheaper than Las Vegas, you're going to choose Mexico. Vegas used to be a big seller. Hardly anyone asks anymore. Their greed took over." Meanwhile, local casinos targeting Nevada residents are seeing revenue increases of up to 50%. Why? Because local casinos still understand that volume matters, that atmosphere matters, that making people feel welcome matters. They didn't get the memo from Wall Street. Lucky them. Is there any way back? So, here's the question that Ray ended our conversation with, not in those exact words. He actually ended it by finishing his coffee and saying, "I'm going fishing next month instead of Vegas, and I feel completely fine about that." But the question underneath what he said is real. Is there any way back for Las Vegas? Here's the honest answer. Possibly. But it requires casino executives to do something that publicly traded companies answering to Wall Street analysts find almost physically painful. It requires them to think long-term instead of quarterly. It requires them to remember that the house always wins if you keep people playing, and you keep people playing by making them feel good about being there. There are small green shoots if you squint hard enough to find them. Resorts World Las Vegas, which opened in the 2021 and struggled early, has gradually found its footing by investing heavily in entertainment and hospitality rather than pure extraction. Tourism consultant Desiree Stokes Bloom has publicly recommended a moratorium on resort fees to spur interest in Southern Nevada travel. And perhaps most tellingly, Resorts World Las Vegas has already eliminated resort fees entirely. One property out of dozens on the Strip had the courage to try something different. And wouldn't you know it, people noticed. The Nevada Gaming Control Board is also considering rule changes that could introduce more flexibility into the gaming landscape. Critics argue, reasonably, that some of these changes simply create more exclusive spaces for wealthy players. But the fact that regulators are paying attention at all suggests the crisis has reached a level that can no longer be politely ignored in quarterly reports. University of Nevada, Las Vegas economics professor Stephen Miller has predicted a slow contraction through 2026, warning that gross gaming revenue over time will likely return to pre-pandemic trends as savings and discretionary income normalize. In plain English, the pandemic spending bubble that casino executives mistook for a permanent new baseline is deflating. What's left underneath will look a lot like what existed before. And what existed before required treating regular gamblers like human beings worth keeping. Ray's advice, for whatever it's worth from a man who spent 30 years studying this city, was simple. He said, drop the resort fees, bring back 3 to 2 blackjack at accessible minimums, give decent players a free meal once in a while, loosen the slots just enough that people feel like they have a shot. None of that costs what you think it costs. And all of it buys back something that you can't put in an earnings report. It buys back the feeling that Vegas is worth the trip. Then he picked up his coffee cup, looked at it, and said, also, charge a reasonable amount for coffee. $22 for a latte is deranged. Hard to argue with that. Here's what it all comes down to. Las Vegas is facing a reckoning that has been building for years and is now impossible to deny. The blackjack tables are tighter. The slots are tighter. The comps are gone. The resort fees are suffocating. The magic attractions that made the Strip electric for everyone, not just the wealthy, have been bulldozed or shuttered. And the people who kept coming back year after year, who budgeted for their Vegas trip the way other people budget for Christmas, who genuinely loved this city and everything it represented, those people are going fishing instead, or staying home, or booking a flight to Cancun where the all-inclusive doesn't charge them a resort fee on top of the all-inclusive. Ray walked out of the Bellagio without playing a single hand. 30 years of loyalty, gone. Not with anger, not with a dramatic speech, just a quiet decision made by a man doing math in his head in the lobby that the game no longer made sense to play. Multiply that moment by hundreds of thousands of people making the same quiet calculation, and you have the 11.3% visitor decline. You have the 40.4% crash in casino net income. You have the 4 consecutive months of falling strip gaming revenue. You have an industry that got greedy, made its customers feel like marks rather than guests, and is now staring at the consequences. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you had your own Ray moment? The moment you looked at the table minimum, or got hit with the resort fee, or noticed your comp was gone, and made the quiet decision that Vegas wasn't worth it anymore? When did you first feel the value disappear? Are you still going, or have you moved on? Tell me in the comments below. Every story matters. Every experience is a data point that these corporations should be forced to reckon with. If this video hit close to home, if it said the things you've been feeling but couldn't quite articulate, do me a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe to Old Vegas Legends so you don't miss what we're covering next. We are going to keep digging. Keep naming names. Keep telling the truth about what's happening to the city that gambling built. Because this city was not built by hedge funds and analyst calls and resort fee revenue strategies. It was built by people like Ray, by people like you, by the regular folks who showed up year after year believing in the magic. The least we can do is fight to bring some of that magic back. See you in the next one.